At Leadership Program of the Rockies, we think the best defense in the fight to preserve freedom is principled, equipped leaders, which begs the question, what is the Leadership Program of the Rockies? It is 9 sessions, 65 of the very best in the state, public speaking, debates, the preservation of liberty, networking, defenders of capitalism, defenders of the Constitution, dynamic, interactive. Simply put, LPR is timeless principles, leaders in action.
LPR is probably the most unique program of its kind in the entire country. I think what makes it so unique is the fact that we focus on principles, but we make it a very interactive learning experience, and people really get a lot out of it because we go right down to the fundamentals of what they want to learn, and then we test and challenge them on whether or not they're really learning it and they really believe what they think they believe.
If you know what your values are, if you know what your vision is, if you know how to articulate it simply and clearly, it applies to almost any civic question you're gonna have.
It's easy to scapegoat this and to say the problem's in Washington, or the problem in California is the Sacramento. No, the problem's right here in this room. The problem is in every house out there. The problem is us. We get the politicians we deserve.
Where is America going? We're facing a crossroads, I believe.
There are some things that are concerning. And
I think a lot of people have been promised things that won't be delivered and can't be delivered.
As a matter of fact, I think probably few of those ways to deal with that come from Washington.
Well, we have to really make a call about who we are.
But at the same time, I think that's brought people to a point where they have had to make some hard decisions and look in the mirror.
I also see another future, a future that LPR is helping facilitate.
And with that, I think there's great hope for where we're headed.
Well, the Leadership Program of the Rockies doesn't make leaders. What it does is find leaders, people who have constituencies and seem to have some inclination towards civic leadership to begin with. If you look at the greatest reforms in education here in Colorado and Douglas County, the Board of Education that has moved school choice forward more than anyone, anywhere in the country, are LPR graduates. When you look at elected officials who have made the biggest difference in preserving property rights and moving policies forward to reduce taxation, to eliminate regulation, to allow for freedom to exist, they all have one thing in connection here in Colorado, and that's the Leadership Program of the Rockies.
Coming into politics, 3 years ago when I got into this, if you had told me then that I would be on a radio show every week and that I would have 2 winning political campaigns under my belt, I would have told you were crazy.
Over a 9-month period, we bring in some of the best national experts in the country. We challenge our students to really think about the fundamentals of every issue that they're learning about. We make them read, they have to debate, they have to answer questions in 30 seconds in front of Bob Schaefer with Speak Out. They've got to actually make the moral case for capitalism. They have to write an op-ed defending the Constitution. All these things come together so that they understand the timeless principles and they feel equipped to be a leader in action and go out and make a difference.
So that invisible hand is a key concept in economics, and I say that we've got to go beyond the invisible hand.
I went into Leadership Program of the Rockies very bullheaded with all kinds of ideas on how I was going to change the world, and I wanted to have somebody show me LPR of maybe, the actual ropes and the steps to take to get that done.
Well, this is why you should be a defender of capitalism. If you actually believe in what you do, if you actually believe you're a productive individual without actually making things, this is where you need to learn to defend yourself.
I used to just spew out a lot of facts, and I knew that facts would convince them that I was right.
I postulate to you, and I want you to think about this throughout this course, that the mind is the source of wealth. It isn't the labor, it's not the hands. If there isn't a mind telling those hands what to do, we die.
And I've learned, thanks to the Leadership Program of the Rockies, that I'm far better off talking to people more from an emotional and from a personal standpoint. And it's a much more pleasant conversation as well.
What I'll never forget is the first class we had where we talked about the Declaration of Independence.
The Americans offer a moral justification for their cause.
And I did 3 years of law school, and I had been practicing about 10 years at the time that I did LPR.
What the Americans were fighting for was a redress of their grievances.
And I have to say that I was completely blown away by what I learned at that class.
But we're confident we have right on our side. And we want to explain to the world why the right is on our side.
I really thought that as an attorney I had a very firm grasp of our country's founding, our founding documents, and it turned out that I didn't.
Jefferson is the one who figured out how to articulate the principles of freedom in a way that not only Americans and people around the world could understand in 1776, but those Chinese students in Tiananmen Square could understand just as well 200 years later.
I think that we're defining what these principles are and what they mean and how we can apply them to public policy and to politics.
You know, our goal is to grow an army of soldiers and warriors who are willing to fight for freedom and liberty. It's really that simple.
This program is not a spirit of uniformity, everybody marching to the same drumbeat.
You have this class of 60 people, and they've got 60 different backgrounds and 60 different viewpoints.
You look at the individuals that are involved in the program, the diversity and the uniqueness of each one of those members.
A spirit of communication and dialogue and inspection of these principles that we say we believe in.
Things happen in this stew. You've got somebody who is going to run for office in a year, who goes back to his LPR classmates and pulls in a couple of other people.
And I asked Shari, Shari, why did you pick somebody like me? And she said, Brad, we need more people like you who are business oriented, who are not running for public office, but need to be part of the sphere of influence.
As somebody who's been through the leadership program of the Rockies is tested and proven and ready to go out on the front lines and achieve victories.
First of all, I'm Corinne Piper, and I'm from Douglas County. I just live right down the road.
You participated in the very first Speak Out for the class. Tell us what that was like.
I love it, and it also opens me up a little bit to issues that I really have not thought about at all.
The leadership program of the Rockies takes a long-term view, and if you believe that there is a leader somewhere today who is going to run for office someday, or maybe manage a campaign, or lead some issue cause around the state, the leadership program of the Rockies is the best way to invest in a way that is going to help and assist and make sure that those conservative, free market-oriented causes are going to benefit from the best leaders.
Leadership program of the Rockies has been one of the best investments that I've made in the last 10 years of my life.
LPR gave me a better understanding of the founding principles that I already believed in.
When I really started to understand some of the history,
I thought I was a conservative at the beginning of the program.
But I really couldn't articulate why.
It opened my eyes to a lot of things that I knew the pieces and the parts.
And that was a helpful thing for my philosophical grounding.
It exposes you to a broad perspective, but at the same time,
LPR really helped me understand that freedom is something you work at. It's not something you can take for granted every day.
These are people that are passionate about their country.
You can see that reflected in the students that go through leadership program of the Rockies.
This large sense of purpose sort of umbrellaed over this class camaraderie and a lot of fun and just a lot of really neat people.
What's next? What are we going to do next? How are you going to continue this momentum, this excitement of going through the program?
It's just a great program to participate in.
I've not been involved in another organization that has more positive influence in promoting the cause of liberty than the leadership program of the Rockies. It's the best there is.